Hello and welcome to my retro watches. I've got another review for you, and that's on this San Martin watch. Comes in this quite interesting canister, for want of a better word. And you can see sort of a embossed bezel on the top there. Now, San Martin, when you look at their website, they seem to really do lots of homage watches. But this particular one in here is their own design. Now, I am a massive fan of 70s watches. It's why the channel's called My Retro Watches. And if any of you guys have looked at my collection on my website, you will see that majority of them are wacky 70s watches. So what I've got inside here is definitely a 70s inspired watch. And it might not be for everybody, but for me, I think this is absolutely fantastic. So let's take the lid off and show you what's inside. So here we go then. That is one heck of a 70s inspired dial and case, if ever I've seen one. Not to everyone's taste, like I say, but to me, that is absolutely beautiful. Now, before I go on with the review in detail, and believe me, I'm going to go into detail on this one, just wanted to show you something about this. So when I got this box, if I shook it, I heard a noise. But I had to remove this foam to get at it because clearly there was something at the bottom, and that was not easy. This was actually flush with this, and I had to get a screwdriver in here and lever it up. And even now, it's still really difficult. You can see where I put a hole in it there, look. However, what it reveals, of course, is some paperwork and some goodies at the bottom. So to start with, we have the guarantee. Now look, it is handwritten. So they have put a date on there. Everything else I've seen so far doesn't seem to have that. And we've got a 2-year guarantee on this. So 10 out of 10 so far for that. We have, well, it's just a little business card, isn't it, really? Nothing to write home about. And then we've got a little interesting little booklet about how to use a watch. But I think we know how to use a watch by now. And then at the bottom, we've got some tools. So we have quite a nice hand tag, but I have no idea what on earth I'd ever do with that. But the tools were worth showing. That's why I'm videoing this bit. So we have a spring bar tool, good knurling, again, good finishing. A lot of tools that seem to come with the watches that I've been reviewing recently are pretty crap. But this does look like it's all right. I'm sure it's still probably made out of some cheap metal, and I'll find out because I will test it eventually. But to size your bracelet, you're going to need that. And then we've got 2 different size screwdrivers as well. It came with it, and I like these, and that will be for the bracelet and possibly if you wanted to remove the case back, but further on that later. So let's review the watch in detail by taking it out into the daylight. So here we go. So here we are out in the daylight, and this watch only seems to get better in natural light. The dial colour is called Sunray Blue, which I think is very apt, given that outside it seems to show it off even better. I'm loving the colour of this, and come on, who does not like a blue dial? I mean, surely a blue dial has got to be the most popular dial colour choice on any watch ever. The model has other colours of black, white and green, so if you like this watch, then consider having a look at the other colours as well. There's a link in the description that you can click on. So let's get the specifics out the way. The model reference is SN026-G. The case width, seeing as it's not a round case, is a lovely 39mm. And with the crown, it's around about 43. 39 is the sweet spot for me, always fits just right. Lug tip to lug tip is 47mm, so again, perfect to fit on any size wrist in my opinion. This is all too good to be true. The lug width, that's 20mm, and the case thickness is 12.5mm. The case and bracelet are made out of solid 316L stainless steel, and more on that bracelet very shortly. So this watch is powered by the PT5000 movement. It's the first time I've come across this movement. It is a clone of the ETA 2824 movement. Of course, further on in this video, I'm going to take the back off and we can have a close look at it. Now, I do believe that you can also choose the Swiss Sellita SW200 for a higher price. I did ask that as my sample, but I was sent the PT5000 instead. But I'm still very happy with that because it seems to be a good high beat movement. It's 28,800 vibrations per hour. It's got hand winding, it's got hacking. The movement thickness is 4.6 millimeters. Now on paper, it has a 38-hour power reserve, but I'm yet to test that because honestly, this watch has not come off my wrist for days. One thing I will say though is that the movement has a date complication. So it's ghosted on this one. So when you pull it out into that first position on the crown, you can just turn it and turn it. It doesn't do anything. But if I turn it anti-clockwise and put my ear to it, I can actually hear it clicking over. So I'm assuming at this point in time that the date wheel is still attached to the movement. Lastly, of course, it's got a flat sapphire crystal to finish it off. So now onto the dial, and if you like symmetry, this dial is going to please you because it's got a nice balanced mix of Arabic numerals and pattern indices. They've all been loomed on the inside really well, with the outer edges a high polished finish. The loom is BGW9, which is bright, so here is a loom shot now. At 12 o'clock we have the applied logo of San Martin. I quite like that logo. It also carries on to the clasp. It looks really nice on the clasp and also the crown. At 6 o'clock we've got automatic and 100 meters of water resistance. This watch also has pencil hands, finished really well. Of course, they've got loom on them. The second hand has got a red tip and an arrow heel, but there is no loom on the second hand at all. Now, the hour markers are set in a recess. It's got some radial finishing, really nice, kind of gives it that sort of 3D effect, you know, gives it a bit of depth on that dial, which I really do like, and very reminiscent of certain Seikos from the 70s. Now, I really like this dial. I think you can tell that from my tone of voice, to be honest with you. It floats my boat. It's got everything that I like about it. But I also really like that bezel. It's been surface ground. That's what gives it that linear finish. That's something I actually do as a profession. So it's good to see that on this particular watch. Those screw heads have been high polished, and I'm inclined to believe that they are genuine screws because I think the only way to get to the crystal would be to take this bezel off. So if they are genuine screws, that's pretty impressive because to get the bite point just right to line them all up, I think has got to be tricky. Again, they could be glued in, but I'm more inclined to think that they are actually screws. Now, I've watched plenty of other reviewers over the years rave about this brand, but I've never handled one until now. Now, they all go on about the quality of the finish, and I have to agree that this is some of the best case and bracelet finishing I think I've ever seen south of a Grand Seiko. The contrast between the brushed and polished work really well, and they've been applied perfectly. You can see that there are really sharp edges, and the linear brushing around the lugs is angled and against the sides, which is a straight brushing. Real nice contrast, excellently applied. It's brilliant to see, but I only wish that I could actually replicate this on my own restorations when I'm doing it by hand. Another marvel in my opinion, there are 9 links, all solid with a range of polished and brushed, and those polished chamfers are just the icing on the cake on the edge of that bracelet. So nice, so comfy, and most importantly, it actually doesn't pinch my hair as well. So there you go. I think that's everything outside done. So let's get back inside, get to the bench, and we can put this thing on the timograph and see what the results of that movement are going to be. So here we are back on the bench, and before I put it on the timograph, just wanted to show you again just that case finish. You know, even the attention to detail right here, you've got brushed or linear brushing, and then that facet there is polished, and then this finishing here is absolutely exquisite, to be honest with you, because it's not straight, it's at a slight angle, and again that's quite difficult to do, but the edges are razor sharp. So really good. Same with the top as well. Here you've got contrasting finishes. You know, you've got the polished finish, the layer there of brushed, then of course the top, and then with those equally aligned screws, all fantastic. Really my cup of tea. So let's put it on the time graph and see what this PT5000 produces. Right, so we're all set for the timographer. It's supposed to be a 50-degree lift angle. So let's start it off and see what we get. Straight away, a lovely straight line. Look at that. Absolutely spot on. That is really impressive. Obviously, I'm going to stress test it to see what it's going to change, but that, honestly, I'm really impressed. Don't understand why it's saying the rate is now. There we go. It needs to get a better reading, doesn't it? Right, so let's test it out. Let's put it to dial down. And in that position, we are not seeing much movement at all either, are we? Look at that. I do like to leave it running, although not as long as I'd like really to do a proper test. Okay, right. Crown up. That's always the test. If you'd watched the tourbillon review, you would have seen that would start to deviate at this point, and this particular movement is doing none of the sorts at all. It's still staying very constant. Now there is a lot of noise in the background there, but my guess is that's also the bracelet, probably me talking a little bit as well. I can turn the gain down, I might reduce it. But look at that, that is super impressive. Very, very, very accurate. Okay, crown down. Oh, now we do get a little bit of beat error there, look. Is it going to smooth itself out? Not particularly, so it doesn't like that angle as much, but the accuracy is still absolutely spot on. This thing is here within just a few seconds, isn't it, really? Absolutely mega impressive. So just try the last two positions. So yeah, that one's constant. This is my first experience with this PT 5000 movement, and just looking at these readings, wonderful. Cannot fault it at all. Look at that. So again, just a tiny bit of beat error I can see creeping in. I'm wondering if I left it running for 5 or 10 minutes, whether that would even itself out. And inconveniently for this video, the trace is putting it at the top and the bottom of the screen, which is rather annoying. So yeah, so we have two positions where we get slight beat error, but in the main, it is looking good, isn't it? Look at that. So 10 out of 10, really, really impressed with that. So let's take the case back off, put it on the microscope and have a close look at that movement. Here we are with the first glimpse of the movement. And I will say that if you're going to buy one of these, then make sure you tighten the case back screws or check them, because the one on this particular model were actually quite loose. So just a warning really, because that's quite bad. Now I do like the look of this movement, in all honesty. Again, it's quite well finished. I mean, compared to some of the stuff I've been looking at recently, this is leaps and bounds. Again, a lot of reflection. These wheels are actually gold wheels, gold in colour that is. But of course, the reflection of the lights doesn't really do it any justice on camera. But we've got, these are a bugger to service, these sort of automatic wind movements. I've seen these before, obviously, in other ETAs, and yes, always very interesting. But yeah, that's quite nice. Now let's just get a bit closer in with that balance. So here we are, a lot closer at the balance wheel. Lots of things I like, to be honest with you. The finish to start with, so much better than that tourbillon, isn't it? You know, a different league entirely. And we've got what I'm guessing is a regulator screw there. So I'm assuming if I turn that, it's going to move the arms, or the regulating arm, not the stud. But I'm unsure because I've not seen this movement before. But you would assume that's what that's there for, which is quite handy. But of course, don't want to adjust anything because this thing is running absolutely spot on. Again, we've got a lovely finish on the rotor. I honestly can't criticise it at all. What I'd love to do in the future, though, is get hold of an ETA 2824 and compare like for like. I'd like to get another one of these movements, these PT 5000s, and perhaps do a disassembly like for like, have a look at all the parts. So if you're interested in seeing something like that, of course, let me know. Thought I'd show you the dial as well. Now we are looking through the glass on the microscope, because I haven't removed the movement on this particular one. So if you do see some fluff, it's just from my glasses cleaner that I've used to wipe down.
So I wanted to show you the hands, especially because the hands are actually linear brushed on the top there, and then on the sides where it looks dark is actually high polished. It always comes out badly on this microscope. And then also when you look at the index here and the numbers, how well finished they seem to be. You know, that loom that's applied inside there is really, really nice. So again, I can't fault it. I really can't fault it. It's so refreshing to see it's so good, certainly at the price point. And of course, talking of the price, cut back to the bench and I'll tell you all about that.
So this watch is for sale for 265 UK pounds, which is around 350, 360 US dollars. There may be some taxes involved in that should you want to buy one, depending on where you live in the world. I can save you $20 per $200 by clicking the link below in the description and using Retro Watch in capital letters as the discount code, and that's going to give you that 20% discount. So good saving to be had. This watch is rumoured, well, it's not rumoured, it says on the website that it's a limited edition of 199 pieces. What I don't know is whether it's 199 pieces per colourway. So if you do want to get one of these, then I suggest you pick one up pretty quickly before they are all gone. Now, this has been my first introduction to San Martin watches. Again, like I say, I'm not a fan really of all the homage stuff. If this is the sort of design that they can make themselves, then why bother homaging things? Just concentrate on making your own unique designs. Okay, you can nick a few ideas here and there. I think every brand does that to an extent. But certainly, the quality on this is exceptional. I'd buy this in a heartbeat. I honestly would. I can't get enough of that bracelet, the different finishes, the fact that it's got so many different links, fits like a glove. The whole case finishing is wonderful. And that design to me is just so 70s. It's just brilliant, really. But I know it's going to split opinion. If you like that sort of design of watches, then yes, you're going to love this. Of course, if you don't, then you wouldn't go near it, would you? Let's face it. But there we go. That is the end of this review. I do hope you like it. I've got to say thank you to AliExpress, of all people, for letting me review this particular watch. Of course, I get to keep this one, which is absolutely fortunate for me. So thanks very much for that. I do hope you enjoyed it, guys. Please leave comments below. Tell me whether you like the watch or whether you don't. I'll read every single one, of course. I try to reply to as many as I possibly can. So I'll be very, very interested to hear your views on this one, especially. And then stay tuned as well, of course, because I'm back on the restoration trail. I've got an Omega coming, actually, and a Doxa. So one of those at least will be not my next video. So normal business resumes with my restoration videos, because again, I know that you love it. I just like doing some of these reviews. They're a bit more challenging for me, give me something different to think about, and it's opening my eyes up again to seeing new stuff, because I've just been in the vintage world for 5 or 6 years now, and rarely do I hold something brand new. So stay tuned for those, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.